Straight out of Aruba. It's like something ripped from a crime thriller.
You talking about that Maznatisha article, right? The one with the guy turning himself in after that crazy thing happened.
That's the one. It's wild.
Yeah.
So the article paints this picture of a woman just riding her electric scooter, just cruising in Shirabana.
Tragic ending, though, right?
Yeah, sadly, she loses her life. It's awful.
And the suspect, this Jacinto J. Rosendo Tubanez, the fact that he turned himself in, that's not your everyday move in these situations. Makes you wonder what's going on in his head.
Seriously, was he overcome with guilt or something?
Who knows? But it gets weirder. He was driving this pink Honda Fit.
Yeah, that's not exactly inconspicuous.
Right. Not your typical getaway car. And get this, they found it later burned to a crisp in Wella.
Oh, wow. So, he torched the evidence.
That's what it looks like, right? Huge
Ah.
red flag there. Legally speaking, that could be seen as admitting guilt.
Really? I hadn't thought of it like that.
Mm.
So burning the car could actually backfire on him in court.
Oh, yeah, for sure. If the police can prove he intentionally torched it to hide evidence that's game over, it seriously strengthens their case.
It's like adding fuel to the fire for the prosecution.
Exactly. So we've got this tragic death, a suspect who does the unexpected by surrendering, and a car turned into a bonfire that might have held all the answers. What a mess. But there's another piece to this puzzle, remember? The woman who sold him the car. Where does she fit in all this?
Yeah, what about her? What do you think?
I think she's more important than meets the eye. She might not be involved directly, but her words could be gold.
What do you mean?
Well, imagine this. She might be the last person to see Tubanez before everything went down.
Right, she sold him the car.
Exactly. Did she notice anything off about him? Was he acting strange, nervous, maybe even saying things that seemed out of place?
I see, so even little details could help investigators figure out what he was thinking at that time.
Exactly. It's all about piecing together his state of mind, filling in the blanks.
And that brings us to another curious detail. The article says that Tubanez talked to a lawyer before he turned himself in.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting for sure. It could mean he knew what he was getting into. He knew the legal trouble that was coming and tried to prepare.
So, he was thinking ahead?
Possibly. But on the other hand, maybe he was just plain scared and confused and wanted advice before walking into a police station. You can't rule that out.
So, two sides of the same coin, huh? He could be a mastermind or just someone in way over their head.
You got it. And we don't have enough info to say for sure. It's a detail that needs some serious thought.
Okay, so at this point we know Tubanez was questioned by the police and is now behind bars. What's next in this whole legal process? What usually happens now?
This is where things get real. This is where the police put on their detective hats and start digging deep. They're going to be combing through everything, searching for anything that supports the timeline or shows exactly what happened that night.
Like what kind of stuff are we talking about?
Anything and everything, physical evidence, witness statements, anything that helps them paint a clear picture of how it all went down.
But that burnt car.
Yeah.
It's going to make things harder for them, right?
It throws a wrench in the works, for
Yeah.
sure. You can still find traces of evidence in a burnt car, but it's a whole lot harder. The fire might have wiped out key clues that could have told us what really went down.
It's like trying to solve a puzzle with missing pieces.
Exactly. We're left with the suspect in custody, what could be a crime scene, but still a ton of unanswered questions.
So many twists and turns already. And there's another layer to this whole thing that we haven't even touched on yet. The article mentions that Jacinto J. Rosendo Tubanez is actually from Venezuela.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I'd almost forgotten about that.
Okay.
That definitely adds another dimension to the case, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What does it mean, legally speaking, for the case? How does that affect things?
Well, for starters, it could impact how his legal status in Aruba plays into the whole process. Is he a citizen, a resident? What's his situation?
Right, that makes sense. And his nationality itself. Could that affect how people see him within the Aruban legal system?
Sadly, it's a possibility. Perception and treatment can sometimes be influenced by things like that. We can't ignore that aspect.
It's a reminder that justice isn't always black and white. There's so many gray areas.